Family, this is your boy Lionel again. In today's video, we're gonna talk about setting down procedures that we use step by step from site clearance. Is the first step by making sure that the glass and then the roots of the trees are cleared from this job site where we're gonna put our foundation. This involves also a surveyor to come and take measurements where they're gonna cut and fill somewhere to making the surface to make sure that it is leveled on the same level. And then once all of that job is done, and then the heavy machine came and then they compact and make sure that the surface is leveled and the site is cleared from everything that can cause any danger to our building, such as all of that grass, termites, everything that can cause any danger to our house. That's the first step, clearing the site. And then the second step is to obtain architect or building plan from an architect who have prepared it, checked by engineer who are qualified, and make sure that there is no problem with the building plan. And if there is any modification that is gonna be done, it's gonna be done before we start the work of our project. And then the third step is getting necessary materials that you're gonna use ready, such as pegs, nail, rope or line, building line, hammer, tape, and marking tools. And then the fourth is gonna be first taking the notes of the four corners of where our foundation is gonna be at, to make sure that all corners of our building, to mark the center of where we're gonna put our all corners of the building, and make sure that the corners are equal by stretching your building line to one corner to another, to make sure that the diagonals are the same, to make sure that our square is at the right place and the measurements are equal, to avoid any mistake that can arise later and we find that instead of being a square, it's becoming a hexagon. Yeah. To mark our four corners of where we're gonna put our foundation. That's the fourth step. By using all of the materials that we use, building line, pegs, we're gonna mark our first corner with our pegs. We use one peg in one corner and another, and then we're gonna, at the top, fix a nail on at the top of that peg, and then we stretch a line from one corner to another, and then from another corner to another corner, and from another corner is gonna be four corners, and then we stretch another line from one corner to make diagonals in between. It's gonna cross from one side to another and another side to another, to make sure that our square is a square, it's not a hexagon. And then the fifth is, after establishing the four corners, to establish the four corners in relation to the dimension of the building floor plan by pegging it, is to make sure that it's leveled. It's according to the dimension which are on the building plan. That's the fifth step to check if your square, the dimensions are equal. You gotta double check to avoid any mistake. And then the sixth step is, after establishing the four corners, is to insert a nail at the center top of each peg and then land the loop. The seventh step is taking one side measure of the setback from the back of the fence and to the end of the building line. In that particular angle, then come to the front measure. The setback are also given on drawing plan. The eighth step, after this, go back of the rear, or you may use a front point mark depending on which setback is more important to you. Measure the setback from the fence, establishing these 2 points with pegs, then a loop across both pegs and make them form a right angle. To determine if a loop is at the right angle, put a checker, popular called a square or a bricklayer's square. This will direct you if you need to shift the other loop that may vary since one is already fixed. To form a base mark is to make sure that to use a square, a brick making square that they use when they are laying bricks. That square is going to help us make sure that the right angles of our square are good. And then the ninth step, after establishing a right angle of our foundation, then do your measurement to correspond with what is on the plan, and then use the square at the other end to now establish the other 2 points. Then establish this point to conscious to place your peg at 1 meter or 3.5 of the behind your building line where blocks will actually pass through. And then the step 10 is, after this nail peg at 3 meters interval around under the roof marking your building line, then nail tile nodes on the top round of the entire area. The 11th step is establish room measurements by the nail. You require 4 nails at each measurement. To establish the 2 sides of the block you are going to press later on, then the other 2 at the both ends to serve as the point where you will excavate. The length of this is usually 3 times the width of the block you are using. That is, if you are using a 9 block to excavate or dig a trench. Then the 12th step is, from the plan detail, the width of excavation to be done is also marked by a line with pegs at the appropriate position. However, the excavation width is then marked by lime or by ferrule with a spade. The 13th step is then dig or excavate the depth. Depends on the type of foundation as recommended by your structural engineer. Next is casting your concrete bed and base. That's a 14th step. Casting of your concrete bed where you're gonna pour your concrete And after the 15th step, after casting of a foundation, use the nail on your profile board to determine whether your block will follow set blocks 2 to 4 or more corners, more courses or portion is referred to site topography. Then the 16th step, filling and backfilling of the trench and inside the trench. The 17th, casting your ground floor slab. That's the last one. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed all of these steps that I use when we are setting out our foundation.